welcome to Bridges. I'm Monica Schmelter. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Today we're going to be talking about dating. We're going to look into the book called Dating in Black and White. They're going to help make it easy for us today. And Adonis and Heather Lenzy are with us. Adonis, good to have you back.
Hey, Monica, it's always good to be with you. Thank you for inviting us back.
Of course. And Heather, good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you too, Monica.
Now, dating is, it's complicated. I hear I've been married for years, so I don't know much about it, but the things I hear, I think, oh, that's very complex, very complex. So we're going to talk today about putting yourself out there. What do you have to say to that, Heather?
I think the biggest thing is, especially with women, we get over a certain age, we get set in our ways, and we just think it's going to happen. We think that we're going to sit in our homes and someone's going to knock on the door. And if it maybe the UPS man might, I don't know. But the odds of that happening aren't too high. But I think we think that it's just going to happen. We're going to be sitting in church and a man's going to come up and just start talking to us. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is anymore. Women have become so independent and so they just want to do everything on their own. But that's the one area that they kind of sit and wait. When's the man going to come and sweep me off my feet? Movies make it look like, oh, it's this wonderful, glamorous thing. And it's hard sometimes, especially as you get older and you're no longer in college where there's a great pool of people, and now, you're working at the same place you've been at. There's not a lot of people coming in and out
there's 6 whole people in the office.
Right.
3 of them are married.
It's really hard to meet people nowadays. And I think the biggest thing is, our advice is that you have to put yourself out there. You have to go and do something and get yourself just around other people, meet other people. I think as singles, we're so afraid that we're going to go out and they're going to think we're on the prowl or whatever. And it's not even that. It's just go out and meet other people. You never know. You could go to an event and meet a good girlfriend, and they might have a brother that's single. I mean, I think we're so focused on we have to go and meet that guy or that girl. But, just getting out and living life, finding things that you enjoy doing, getting off your couch and going and doing things. And that's how you're going to actually get out and start meeting people. And that's what is going to open the door for that.
Right, and that's how life happens. Because I think, even when we say today, putting yourself out there, you might think, oh, I don't want people to think I'm that kind of person. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about really living and enjoying our life and putting ourselves in a position where potentially, if we would like to have a relationship, that we could actually meet someone. Is that right?
Yes, and I think it's breaking those, what I like to call them is those single stigmas. You hear that in the church, like we just did a singles conference, and so one of the mindsets we fight against in gathering singles is they're thinking, oh, I don't want, especially with some of the guys, I don't want to go because it's about meeting girls. No, it's not about that. It's about putting yourself out there by getting involved in your community and doing stuff with brand new people. And so we've got to break our singles in the church arena out of that mindset of what does that mean, putting yourself out there? Because like you said, some people will think, okay, I don't want people to think I'm that kind of person. But, speaking from a guy's point of view, it's like, Heather touched on it, it's like women today are more independent, more confident, and to the point of, you take some guys, and we've got to understand that can be intimidating to a guy. Like, when I started liking Heather, I wasn't just confident enough to go up and say, hey, can I have your number? Because that's Hollywood. That's in movies. That just doesn't happen real world, And it's like sometimes women need to know that us guys, single guys, need help. They need to know that it's okay to approach you, and I'm not going to get rejected, because at the end of the day, guys don't want to face that rejection.
And who would?
Like, nobody would,
I think for any woman, I mean, certainly you don't want to walk out and hand your phone number to every guy that you see. But there are certain signals that single women could put out. You could kind of let a guy know, I'm interested. Like if you know what I'm saying?
It's a safe zone.
So he doesn't.
I'm not going to bite your head off. I'm not going to, And so it's trying to find those environments that you can be in where it's stress-free. One of the things we say when we do a singles conference, we get up and when we welcome the crowd, we say, hey, let us set your mind at ease right now. You're not going to find your soulmate here, because that's what everybody's thinking. They're scanning the room. And it's like, that's not what this is about. This is about connecting with people. This is about building community. This is about growing in your relationship with God. And it's just about having fun. And so because, once again, Monica, go back. If what you're doing is not working, then it's time to go back and develop another plan. So what can you do to get out and meet some different people, doing different things? If you're still stuck in that same rut and routine, you know, I ran into one of the single guys the other day. It was so funny. You know, when I have conversations with him, he's searching for that one, looking for that one. And so I happened to be taking a lunch break. I was right near the church, and he came walking in, and he got his food. And I thought maybe he's going to sit down and hang out with me for a while, but he got his food to go. And he said, man, it's Friday. I'm going home, do what I do every Friday night and watch WWF. I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, exactly. Exactly. That's why you're still single. Exactly. So what can we do to change that?
Right.
And you start maybe getting out, find some community events, you know, because I do believe you have to start thinking outside of your current environment that you've been
that comfort zone.
Yeah, that
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, even if somebody, you know, if you're watching right now and you're single and you think I might like to meet somebody, you've got a routine. You know, you've got a comfort zone. Friday night, he was taking the food to the WWF, watching that. But whatever that is, you know, that's kind of a safe, comfortable thing.
Yes.
But that's not the place that he wants to be for his whole life and for single women. And so you're saying, like, if you're in that place that, you know, you've got your routine, your comfort zone, let's consider to put yourself out there and step out of that. Change it up a bit.
Change it up. And that's the deal. It's not today's world with social media, and if you're involved in a church or just your city, your community, find out what activities are going on for single people. There's tons of here in Nashville, there's tons of outreach opportunities that you can connect with organizations that not just have single people, but people in general, so you can go out and just make some new friends. And number one, it's going to break you out of that mindset. It's going to break you out of that rut, the routine, or even sometimes that depression that the older singles get. There's an opportunity for depression to start settling in, and you're thinking, this is the way my life is going to be, and you're secretly hurting inside of your apartment, inside of your home, and kind of almost wasting away. But it's time to break out of that and start doing something that's going to put you out there to get connected.
And what we're saying is that can be done. Now, Heather, Adonis mentioned that he was a little nervous to ask you out at first. So I'll put you on the spot. How did you let him know? How did you put yourself out there? How did you let him know, you know, if you asked me, I'd give you my phone number?
Well, I call that as putting your sign up. And that's saying, you know, I just picture in my mind, because sometimes women, we are so in a routine that we look like we don't need anybody, we don't want anybody, don't bother us. But I like to refer to it, check and make sure that you have your sign up that says, hey, you know, I could be interested. And what I did with our story basically is Adonis found out that I like to golf. And I didn't know that he was interested, but I was a little bit interested, and I thought, you know what, he started a life group, and I thought, I'm gonna join his life group and just put myself out there.
Which was creative on my part, because I was still faced with some insecurity. I wasn't just gonna walk up and ask her for her contact information. So when I found out she liked to play golf, I felt the Lord tell me to start a golfing life group. Okay?
Revelation for Adonis,
like this bright light shone down. I heard the angels and the harps play. So I started this group, and I went up to her one Sunday. I said, hey, I heard you like to play golf. I said, I started a golfing life group. If you just give me your name and number and email, I can contact you and let you know when we're going out. So that's how I got her number.
But that was a safe thing, but I also had to respond to that.
That's right.
And I actually had to get up and show up. Thing is, it was intimidating. I signed up, and I see this list of all these men, and it was intimidating, but I actually had to put myself out there and go and show up to this golf group. So it's important, I think, for men and women to just put your sign up, let them know that you're available. I always say, get into their world. If you see someone that you're interested in, men or women, find out what they like, who they hang around, stuff like that. I'm not saying that go out and stalk them or anything like that. But I'm just saying, just kind of make yourself visible to them.
Because the thing is, the connection can't happen if you're not out there.
Exactly.
And if we're not being honest, and if we're not taking some risks, you really couldn't have expected him to connect all the dots and to figure out that that you might be interested. You kind of both had to work on it together. You've got to do something.
I had to come out of my comfort zone, and once again, even being a pastor in the church, there was like, a lot of people think I'm very confident, and I'm confident, but there's still some of those insecurities when it comes to
we're all people.
We're people.
I mean, who wants to ask a pretty girl out if she's going to say, ew?
Exactly. Then it's like, I could just hear it now. She's going around telling everybody, oh, Pastor Adonis asked me out, and I shut him down. I'm like, I don't want to go through that.
Because that happens.
Exactly. It happens. And so I think it's both parties taking that risk, but just understanding that it's a part of the journey, it's a part of life, but you have to do something lest you do nothing.
Yeah, because I know a lot of singles that say to me, I'm praying, and if God doesn't bring my husband right to my door, then it's just not going to happen. And then they say things like, well, God's just going to show me who my husband is. And I think that would be the most frightening thing in the world. Just to look at someone and I just know instantly. You gotta be friends. You gotta meet.
Yeah, you gotta walk out that. That's a process. It really is. And so I think one of those safe zones is especially when you're single, and it's like, don't put all your apples in one basket. Meaning that, if you meet somebody or if you're watching somebody from a distance, if you overcommit as far as in your mind thinking, oh, that's the one, and this is it, and this is this, without even getting to know that person. And then there's a huge disappointment when that is not the person for you. So you want to take your time on that journey, get to know one another. And so there's all kind of safe environments you can be in. Once again, you hear that word, group activities, and that, I believe in those to a degree. As far as connecting on that first time, second, third time connecting. But then as you progress in that relationship, there's going to have to be that time where nobody else is around and you two are able to communicate and have those one-on-one conversations as well.
Yeah, so that you can get to know one another.
Absolutely.
Because what I meant when I said if someone looks at someone and they just know that this is my spouse, you've got to start smaller than that. Like even if you felt like God said that to you, I wouldn't put that out there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because it would be frightening to the other person. You just kind of want, hi, how are you?
By the way, God told me you're the one for me. That's
and I've known so many people that do that, and then the whole relationship is so weird and so awkward. You got to kind of start with more casual, comfortable things. I think group activities, and after you think that you might like each other a little bit more than that one-on-one and that give and take. So that's what we mean by putting yourself out there.
Absolutely. And go ahead.
And it puts too much pressure. If you're saying this is the one, you've already put all that pressure on your entire relationship, and you're going to force it. And you don't want to have to do that and then deal with that and then deal with the disappointment of that. You definitely don't want to force that.
Because nobody likes to admit that they miss God.
I know.
That's the whole key.
It's so much pressure.
It's embarrassing.
Yes, it is.
So now I've got to force this thing and make it work.
Yeah, you get closer.
So we're with you on that. If God speaks to you, keep that between you. Some things need to be between you and God.
Yeah, I feel like this is good. This is good. We've got to take just a little break. We want you to stay with us. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about dating in black and white, putting yourself out there, and we're going to talk about the subject of online dating. We'll be right back.
You can purchase a copy of today's show for $15. Call us at 615-754-0039 or send a check to the address on the screen. Please mention the program number on the screen.
Join the Bridges community on Facebook. Visit Facebook and search for Bridges with Monica. We would love to connect with you.
The blood of Christ is the only cure. It gets down to the root of every single thing that ails us. There's not an addiction, there's not a generational curse, there's not any root of sin. There's nothing that the blood of Jesus cannot cleanse.
Visit monicaschmelter.com to schedule Monica to speak at your event.
If you are just joining us, we are talking about dating, and Adonis and Heather Lenzy are my guests, and we're going to talk about online dating. Now, I know that you all, Adonis and Heather, work with lots of singles, and people have lots of questions about how to put themselves out there and the do's and the don'ts, but online dating is like a subject that's just really divided.
Yeah, it is. It's very taboo, especially in the church. And so when you mention that, some of the first thoughts that run through people's minds are, danger, Will Robinson, watch out for that. You got to slow down. And they're thinking predators and all that stuff. And so, but we also have to realize that there's a lot lot of people that have met online. And one of the things that Heather and I found out when we were writing our dating book was we interviewed several people in our church that they met years ago online, and they've been married for years. Their marriage is thriving, is successful, and they were able to sit down and tell us their story of how they even began the online track and the whole process with that. So it's very doable. I think it's attainable, and especially as a single, when you get to certain stages of your life, and then, like you said, I think we said this earlier, they're at work, and there's only so many people at work, and half of them are married, or just their current life group is a lot of them are married, so whatever. So that's a natural tendency to even want to investigate that. And so our deal, we try to help people walk through that process and the safeguards that they can put in place when going online and dating.
Yeah, what are some of the safeguards, Heather?
I think the biggest thing is you have, just like with any dating, you're not going to meet someone and go to a private place with them.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that when you're online dating too. You need to do your research. You need to get to know someone just as if you were regular dating. You need to get to know someone first, and then I always say, because this is the female in me, be guarded and be protected. What I like to say is take your girlfriend. The first time you're going to meet in a public place, of course, and then have your girlfriend on a stakeout.
I think that's smart.
Yes.
That's just smart in today's world. Yes, that's right. Always need a plan A and a plan B. And so you're saying really if you meet somebody online, meet them at that public place, have a girlfriend that's somewhere close by. So if you need plan B, you can have it.
Absolutely, yeah, because you can never be too cautious. And the thing is, it'll turn into a funny, if everything works out, it'll be a funny story for your relationship later on.
That's right.
But yeah, I think it's important. Another thing that's really important with online dating is that you have to be truthful. You're expecting someone else to be truthful, and I think that's one of the things people don't want to do with online dating is they don't want to deal with it because they think people are going to give false information. But everyone, when you're dating, is going to put your best foot forward. But I think you need to be honest. If you're expecting people to be honest, you need to be honest. So your profile needs to reflect you, and that's what you're expecting from that other person.
Because otherwise, there is no relationship. It's all a lie. And I think dating in and of itself, as you said, you know, we all put our best foot forward, you know, and so you got to be careful to be as honest and as truthful as we can in that situation so that we could really get to know somebody.
Yes, and I think it's important too, number one, if you're going to be honest, then you have to have a timeline as well where you can even check the honesty of the person that you're online with, because what people don't understand is like you can build an intimate relationship without even meeting somebody, by just online chatting back and forth. And so the sooner you investigate the validity of the person that you're chatting with online, because some people go on and for a year or two, and they've had this online relationship, and then it's devastated because they find out that the person they've been online with doesn't look anything like you know, the person that is in that profile. And so we tell people, you know what, you want to have a certain timeline that you feel comfortable with where you can ask that person to meet. You know, you want to verify that as soon as you can. And because what happens, once again, a lot of people think intimacy is only built with physical contact, but there's that whole emotional side, people's emotions, and an emotional, intimate relationship can be built online and over the phone, talking to somebody. So make sure you verify that in a time frame to where you can decide, okay, yeah, let's keep moving forward.
So like what you're saying then is like if somebody is single and they want to online date, put themselves out there like that, that they would have a plan that I won't chat with this person for more than 30 days or 90 days without asking for a meeting so that I can make sure that they are who they say they are.
And give them the opportunity to meet you face to face. That is, to me, that is so important right there, because a lot of people, some people don't want to do that because they don't want to wreck the dream world that they've been living in. Everything is going fine. We haven't met, and it's meeting a need right now, but that's that hook that can build that soul tie, Monica, and that's what we want to avoid. If that is the wrong person, you know, there's this whole program called Catfish that was out there on TV, and so people would
Isn't it frightening?
Yes, people would spend years dating somebody online, and it wasn't the person who they thought it was.
And when you listen to the stories, you know, as people recount their heartbreak, and it is heartbreaking. I don't laugh at any of those people.
No,
it's just,
it's devastating.
it's tragic. But, you know, like if somebody canceled on you 6 times that they couldn't meet, that's kind of an indicator, that there's something wrong. They're either not who they say they are, they're not honest, they're married, something's wrong.
And if you can't let that go and walk away from that, that's an indicator of a deeper issue, that there is some type of soul tie and emotional connection that you have, and you're finding it hard to break away from that person. If you're saying, okay, I know this is the 6th time, the 7th time, I'm sure they will stick to the plan and we will meet up. Okay, you're fooling yourself, and you need to break away from that.
Right. So that would be an indicator to the person, I need to kind of do a reality check about this whole dating thing, because I really want the online experience, but not the relationship, not the person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we tell people all the time, you know, it's meeting somebody online, to me, Monica, is no different than meeting somebody in a church, at a party. You know, you don't know who that person is if you're meeting them for the first time. And so that's the whole stigma, I believe, that online carries. We naturally, our mind goes to everybody online is a predator. And unfortunately, people do use online access to gain entry into somebody to cause mischief or take advantage of people. And that happens. That happens online. That happens in real world. That happens every day, anywhere.
It happens at church.
It happens at church. And I tell people, there's no difference. If you meet a complete stranger at church, you still don't know that person. And you still have to have that proving process. And you still have to proceed with caution. Just because they're in church doesn't mean they're Christian, doesn't mean they're there with great motives. So you have no idea. That's why, once again, it's still a risk, but it's keeping God in the midst of that, keeping your mind about yourself and being cautious at all times.
Well, and it's part of your hearts in helping singles and in writing the book of dating is to help people walk through, you know, most people want a life partner. Most people want a husband or a wife. You know, but in this complex world in dating where, you know, just our whole culture is so over-sexualized and rushing things. One of the things that you talk about again and again in your book is take your time. Check the other person out.
Definitely. There is no time stamp on any of this. I mean, you have to find a balance. You can't move at such a slow pace that you're dating for 10 years. But you also need, but you also need to take the time to get to know one another and just take baby steps. The thing is, I heard once that you may stop, don't step back, but just keep moving forward. But it's okay to stop and assess your situation and figure out where you're at before you determine when you're going to move forward again, and that's okay. So, you know, we had a shorter dating period, but we also were in our 30s, and we knew what we wanted, we knew what we didn't want, and we invested our time into really getting to know one another, and not just all the surface, you know, what color do you like? I mean, those things are important. Yes, they are. But we really took the time to really get to know one another and to really find out what our expectations were for our relationship, what our expectations would be for marriage, what our expectations were for kids. These things are important. I'm not saying jump right in on your first date with those type of questions, but if you are intentionally looking for a spouse, then those are things that you cannot be afraid to ask.
That's right. Well, you have to get to them at some point. Because I've known people, they invest 5 years into a relationship, and one of them really wants to be married, but they've not talked about marriage at all. And I think
they're just hoping the conversation comes up. And so that's 5 years of your life that at the end of the day, if that person is not where you are, you're not on the same plane, same page, then you've wasted that. You're going to walk away feeling like you've invested and you've got nothing on your return in that relationship. And so, as Heather was saying, we were very intentional just because of our age. And so, you know, when I tell people, you know, if you're 18, 19, go have a burger and hang out and chill, you know. Okay, you're in your 30s, okay, those questions need to be more focused.
That's right.
Because you don't have a lot of time. You don't want to invest 10 years of your life in something that you don't know if that's the right person or not, you know. So there has to be that plan, that time frame that you can ask those questions. And we were very intentional. It was like, how many kids do you want? You want this many? I don't know if I want, let's talk about that a little bit, you know? And so we asked everything from A to Z, but it wasn't a fast track, but it was focused and very intentional. as we were walking out this process.
Yeah. And do you impart a lot of those themes and concepts in your book on dating to help people?
Absolutely, we do. It's like, once again, we don't paint that whole fairy tale type of dating experience. And that is it. Obviously, you need to enjoy the person who you're dating and thinking about spending the rest of your life with. There needs to be a lot of fun times, and both of you need to complement one another. But at the same time, let's not forget the real issues that make a relationship what it is, or the things that you will be faced with if you guys choose to take a trip to the altar and spend the rest of your lives together. So we give those little practical things. We talk about finances, Which one of you is good with finances? That is so key. Don't wait till you're married to figure that out. And sometimes the handwriting's on the wall, and don't just overlook that, especially if you're a person who's good with your finances. And we're not talking about how much you make, but what do you do with what you have, what you have, And if you're constantly spending more than what you're bringing in, okay, that's an indicator for that other person. Okay, if my lifestyle is not like that, and that's how they are, we need to talk about that.
Right, because you won't be compatible after you get married. I mean, there will be that constant tension inside of the relationship.
Those little things is what we talk about. We talked about our children, future children. How does that look? What do you, in your mind, how do you see yourself parenting our children? So those are some things that we challenge people. You want to make sure you are talking about that day in and day out. You want to make sure that both of you have answers that you feel good about.
That's right.
The other person.
That's right.
They need to be able to answer that right then and there, and give them the freedom. Listen, we tell them, when you're having that conversation, tell the person, be honest with me. Because only honesty is going to help protect both of us, And so it's just, it's those practical things that we believe that can make or break a relationship. So our book is filled with those type of practical things. It is us understanding that you need to, when you see that person, you do need to feel good. When they walk into the room, you do need to light up. Okay?
I don't believe that when people say, we're just, it doesn't matter, if I feel attracted to them, or if I think they're cute. Definitely, we're saying you need that.
You need that. You need that.
That is important.
Yeah. But those are the things that, as time goes on, looks begin to fade a little bit.
They do.
Things change, But a foundation is solid forever. And you've got to make sure that you're setting a foundation that both of you can build on in the future.
And be happy with.
Yes.
Because you want a relationship that can last for a lifetime.
Exactly.
I want to thank you guys so much for coming and for sharing today. It has been good to talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're glad that you could join us as well. We've got all the information up on our website at ctntv.org about this topic of dating, the book, and all of that good stuff. We're out of time. We got to go, but we say goodbye and God bless you.
Prayer changes things. If you need prayer, write to the address on the screen. Call 615-754-0039 or email prayer@ctntv.org.
Would you like to be a live audience member on Bridges with Monica Schmelter? Visit ctntv.org to book your spot.
Log on to www.ctntv.org, where you can make a prayer request, view our program guide, see who's on Bridges, or even watch one of Monica's latest teachings. Log on to www.ctntv.org.
For more information on a guest, visit our website, ctntv.org.